What is seller financing in real estate? Well, welcome back. Now, in this episode, I'm going to answer that question. What is seller financing in real estate? My name is Ted Thomas, and for the last 30 years, I've been involved in tax lien certificates and tax deeds. And over the past 25 years, I've been teaching other people how to do it. And this is quite a profitable business, but it's little known in the industry. But everything that I'm going to talk about is legal, and it's ethical, and it's a nice way for you to make money, and you won't have a lot of competition. Now, this business works for everybody. It works for the buyer, it works for the seller, it works for the community. So this is a good way for you to be thinking about making money in the future. So what is seller financing? So I'm going to try to explain the difference of seller financing and institutional financing, but I can assure you that once you learn how to do this, that it's going to make a big difference between whether you're successful or you're going to have a tough time in real estate. Because once you learn how to do seller financing, it opens up a whole new market. So the question is all about seller financing. And once you buy a property, you're going to want to sell it. And if you want to accelerate that process, like I like to teach people, buy low, sell low, and do it fast. Well, if you sell lower than market, you're going to be able to do it fast. But if they can't get financing, that's going to slow the whole process down. But if you know how to finance it, which is what we're going to talk about, as I share this information, you might want to make some notes as we go along, and I'll actually finish with an example so that you get a chance to see that. Now, selling is important, but financing is important for everybody involved. For the people buying, it's important. For you, it's important because you're always going to need money to grow your business. So in the United States, seller financing is very important. Now, properties that are under $100,000, well, the banks don't like those too good because they pretty much have a standardized cookie cutter business where they want everything to work exactly the same way. And they really want to have properties in that $200,000, $300,000 range. They will take some $100,000 and over, but below that, they're not going to do a lot of those. All right, so this business is perfect if you want to get started. If you're going to be buying at bargain prices and willing to sell at bargain prices, you're going to really like doing installment sales. It's really going to work out for you. All right, so what is this seller financing? It's simply you becoming the bank, and you put that deal together once, but you're going to get paid again and again and again. Now, when I say again and again, I mean you could finance it for 5 years. 10 is pretty standard. You could even do it longer than that. So I'll show you some case studies where we do that, and you'll see that you not only make the profit on selling because you bought it low and sold it low, but you're also going to make profits on that financing. All right, now the auction process is something that people struggle with when they start, but once you get going, the real struggle in real estate is always selling it. A lot of people have trouble selling, and that's because there's so many people involved in it, number one, and number two, people don't have confidence that they can sell themselves. By that I mean, can you sell a property? Yes, you can do that, and you can do that by using Craigslist, by using different forms on the internet, for example, Facebook Marketplace. You could use eBay. You can use signs on the property and things like that. So you'd be surprised how many properties we sell that way. Do we exclude the brokers? No. We're happy to have the brokers there as much as they want to be. So I have students, some students using seller financing have done as many as 60 deals in 6 years. Think about that. 60 deals in 6 years, and some of them are even using credit cards to buy. Now, not to complicate it, but you can use credit cards to buy tax liens and deeds, and you can use credit cards to do a lot of things nowadays, but you'd be surprised. Buying properties with credit cards and then selling with installment sales really works out. Now, the beauty of the installment sale is this. When you can sell a property quickly by being able to finance it this afternoon, it changes the whole ballgame. Now, why does all this work? It all works because at tax auctions, we buy the properties for 60, 70, and 80% less than the tax assessed value. 60, 70, 80% less than value. Now, do we have to try and recapture all that? No. We can recapture some of it, but the point is, if you can get a property for 30 or 40 cents on the dollar, or even 20 or 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, you've got a huge market between what you paid for it and the market price. Now, that margin makes a big difference. So we don't try to make all the money right away. We buy it low, we sell it low, we do it fast, and then we move on to the next one. All right, so my clients, they buy these properties at the auctions. There's plenty of them. Some states will have as many as 60 or 70 of these auctions a year. In other words, every county in the state will be selling tax defaulted property. So I'm sure you're getting the idea. So my clients buy at the auction. Now, buying is easy. That's not a problem because there's plenty of properties coming up for auction. And when you get those kind of discounts, you're in the property right. But what about selling it? Well, the way to sell it is use what we talked about. Kind of be like a guerrilla marketer. You make it much easier if what you'll do is you use Facebook Marketplace, you'll use Craigslist, you'll use eBay. Those kind of things are going to make a difference. Now, we also do the same thing with signs on the property, except on the sign, we not only say it's a bargain, we say it's an auction bargain, we say it's discounted, and guess what? We say seller financing, installment sales, contract for sale. By saying those things, well, our clients that come looking for these properties, they're looking for that. Now, who are the clients you're going to sell to? You're basically going to sell to people that are somewhere in the marketplace where they don't like being because they've got a low credit score. So if their FICO score is low, no banker or institution is going to touch them. But we can still finance them as much as we want. Now, many of these people have good income, but they've made some bad mistakes. Now, maybe it was because they had a divorce. Maybe they had a bankruptcy in the background. Maybe they just don't pay their bills as they should. Well, if they buy on a contract of sale, you can have them out of there in 2 weeks to a month. So they know that. So they're going to pay their rent and pay their payments on time. So financing is a good deal for the person that really wants to do that. The worst that's going to happen is you get the property back. Well, you still get the down payment. You can keep that. The point is, it'll work. So installment sales are a way to think about. Now, all the counties in the United States will allow you to do seller financing. So it can work in all 3,000 counties. Not a difficult thing to do. All right, so I have clients that are buying on credit cards, and then they're reselling with installment sales. Now, research is going to show for you that when you look for these properties, you can look at them on the outside, but you can't look at the inside. But you can certainly evaluate them because you're going to have a tax assessed value, you can find a market value, and you can see what's going on in the neighborhood. So if you can buy for 10 and 20 and 30 cents on the dollar, you can get those nice discounts of 60, 70, and 80%. Now you've got a bargain property. Let's think about how we're going to sell it. Well, as soon as you put installment sale in any of your advertising, you're going to get a lot of these people. About 25% of the market cannot get bank financing, whether they just got a divorce or maybe they just got out of college or they had a bankruptcy or they had some kind of crisis in their life. So they can't get financing. So they're going to be looking for signs that say installment sale. So they're going to be looking for your ad that says that, and they want to do business, and they want to do business right now. All right, now auctions, they're not always in the country club. There's a lot of properties at auction that are under $100,000. All right, now this gives you a huge advantage. When you're buying properties that are under $100,000, it's not going to be the cookie cutter deal that all the big real estate companies want to do. It's not going to be hedge funds in there competing with you. It's a deal that you can put together because you're going to buy it at the auction at a huge discount, 60, 70, 80% discount. And when you do that, it's just you and the auctioneer. Now, if you get a great deal on that property, now just put it back into the marketplace and make sure it's a great deal again. All right, we're not doing business in the country club. Those properties are going to get bid up to the price that they're really worth. So you're going to go to auctions and be disappointed when you try to get those fancy houses. Not going to happen. So you're going to get a lot of C's, some D's, and a few B minus properties. Very rare that you'll ever get an A property at one of these auctions. All right, so what is seller financing? It's simply you allowing the person that's buying it, you the seller, are going to let the buyer pay payments to you. And I'm going to give you an example of that. I'll give you an exact example, and you can just follow along and you'll see that this will work perfectly. Now, someone that adapts in the marketplace is going to do very well in the tax lien and deed business. When you go to the auction, I don't know what you're going to find. You can find a whole bunch of properties that had retail prices of $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. Well, I don't know if you got enough money for those, but you might have enough money for the ones that are under $100,000 because they're going to sell at auction for $5,000 and $10,000 and $15,000. If you can buy the properties for those low prices, that doesn't mean you have to sell them super low. Sell them low enough where you can make yourself $20,000 or $25,000 profits. Okay, so this always works. It's worked for over 2,000 years. You'll be able to take advantage of it. Now, as I say, it's a huge advantage if you buy properties under 100,000. Why? Because there'll be enough of them, number one. But number two, you're not going to get into competition with any big real estate companies or anything like that. They want cookie cutter deals that they can get the broker in there working, which is an expense. They can get the appraisers over there. They can get the home inspectors there. They can get the loan brokers there. All those people add to the price of the property. You're going to be able to buy it and sell it yourself. And when you do that, you're going to be able to make a lot more money in the business. Why? Because we're getting these huge discounts at the tax defaulted auction. All right, so you're probably guessing that this is going to be a business that you can do. Well, you're right there, because 25% of the market is going to be looking to you for that installment sale. So with that said, I'm going to pause for a second, and then I'm going to go through one of those installment sales with you so you have an idea what that looks like, okay? Okay, now this is a student example. One of my students just did a deal almost exactly like this. I rounded off all the numbers so it'd be easy so you can understand it. But basically, they went to the auction. The auction said the property had a tax assessed value of $75,000. So he checked around, found out with checking Zillow and MLS and around the neighborhood, it was worth between $70,000 and $80,000. However, at the auction, it starts out at basically the back taxes. So you purchased the property for $10,000. Well, you can see the margin there between the $10,000 and the $75,000. All right, so we teach people buy it low, sell it low. Buy it low, sell it low, and do it fast. So let's make a profit. So sure enough, the student puts it, signs on the property, put the property on Zillow, put it on Facebook Marketplace, and definitely get it on Craigslist. So don't forget those three. You want to put all three. All right, so pretty quick, the student is now trying to sell for $45,000. Pretty quick, they get an offer for the $45,000. Okay, and the student's going to give them a $10,000 down. Well, look at that. Whatever they invested, they've already got their money back. So everything from here on is going to be profit. Everything from here on is profit. Not bad, right? So the student's profit is going to be real close to $35,000 on this deal. So that's kind of looking nice. But then the student has already said that they'll do installment sale. Okay, here's a student example. Number one, $75,000 was the tax assessed value at the auction, but my student only paid $10,000. All right, so you can see that there's a lot of margin. But we teach buy low, sell low. You can do it the other way if you want. We prefer to sell it and do it quickly. So buy it low and sell low. You're going to put signs out there that say that you're going to buy low, sell low. You're going to put installment sale. All right, you want to advertise the property. And when you do advertise the property, you want to put it on Craigslist. You want to put it on eBay. You definitely want to put it on Facebook Marketplace, and you want to have lots of signs out in the front where people can see that they can buy this house and they can get installment sales. All right, so we bought it for $10,000, but it had a tax assessed value of $75,000. So the selling price now, we're going to put it at $45,000. That's a huge discount. That's going to get people that want to buy. Now remember, we only paid $10,000 for the property. That's all we paid for the property. So that's pretty good, all right? So the profit is going to be $35,000. This is a great deal. If someone came in and wanted to pay the whole thing right now, that would be okay. But if you want to do an installment sale, why not do that? Well, let's look at the installment sale. All right, the selling price is $45,000. All right, now you know you're going to make good money. So someone comes in and is willing to pay $10,000 down. That means you got all your money back already. Now, it would be more typical to get about a $5,000 down. That would be much more typical, all right? So the seller also agreed to make payments of $500 a month. Well, $500 a month for how long? 10 years. All right, well, 10 years at $500 a month is $60,000. Now, how do you like that? So you got all your money back, and now over the next 10 years, you're going to get another $60,000 at $500 a month. Not too bad. All right, so let's look at the math on the whole thing. To start with, you get $10,000 from the buyer, all right? Nothing wrong with that. And you got $60,000. So the total is $70,000. Now, folks, that looks awful good to me. Now, this is just an example. Is every deal going to be like this? No, but once you get it, you're starting to see that this could be a powerful business for you. All right, now I'm about to finish up, and I want to tell you two things before I leave, and that's number one, you don't want to buy properties at auction unless you've looked at those properties. They could have a fire. They could have any number of things like a windstorm. You could have a hurricane. You could have a flood. Something could happen to that property. Or that property might be right next to a chicken farm. You might not want that property if you got there and saw that chicken farm. So don't buy a property unless you've already seen it. The other big mistake that people make at auctions, and it's a severe one, is they buy property before they figure out their exit strategy. So don't go there to bid to win and get to be the higher bidder. Go there and know what you're going to bid so that you have margin for profit. Now, my name is Ted Thomas, and what I want you to know is right below me, there's a gift. It's a free gift. You ought to take advantage of that.